Hello, good morning students. Please subscribe the channel, drop a like, share and comment. This is Shree Vishnu Art Press Publications, exercise number 9 and 10 on the speed of 90 words per minute. Start. It is further submitted that the decision of the executive committee in the facts of the case had not been challenged on any of the said grounds. The learned counsel for the university further contends that the executive committee in its meeting held on 29th March 1989 deliberated upon the inquiry report and recorded its full agreement with the findings recorded therein, including the finding of guilt recorded by the inquiry officer, as is clear from the resolution of the Executive Council. Therefore, after obtaining the explanation of the petitioner to the show cause notice, it was not necessary to again record a finding of guilt against the petitioner in the resolution dated 17th May 1989. So far as the order of visitor is concerned, it is pointed out that in view of Section 13(6) of the Aligarh Muslim University Act 1920, the visitor has been conferred a discretion to interfere with the decision of the Executive Council. This power is not akin to a right of appeal. If the visitor, after due consideration of the petition filed by the petitioner, rejected the same, no error can be attributed to the order passed by the visitor if separate reason for rejecting the contention raised in the petition are not recorded, as the order is an order of affirmance. It is further submitted that the judgment relied upon by the learned counsel for the petitioner in the case of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Supra, is clearly distinguishable having regard to the provisions applicable in the facts of the said case. Such statutory provisions are not provided for in respect of disciplinary proceedings under the Aligarh Muslim Act. Lastly, it is contended that there being serious allegations involving moral turpitude by the girl students of the university against the petitioner, who was working as reader in the university, petitioner is not entitled to any equitable relief under Article 226 of the Constitutions of India. In the opinion of the court, the proceedings initiated against the Guru on a complaint made by the girl student must necessarily be decided on the principles of natural justice and fair play without adding much weightage to technicalities of procedure. The court has to be satisfied that the teacher has been afforded an opportunity to controvert the allegations, and his explanation along with evidence has been considered, and that there has been application of mind by the disciplinary authority before taking the final decision. So far as the powers of visitor are concerned, Section 13(6) of the Aligarh Muslim University Act confers a discretionary powers upon the visitor to interfere with the decision of the Executive Council and specific grounds as have been mentioned in the section itself. Further, the decision of the visitor being in affirmation of the decision taken by the Executive Council does not require any further reasons to be recorded, while rejected the appeal filed by the petitioner. In these circumstances, the first contention that the order of the Executive Council being not supported by reasons in writing is unsustainable in the eyes of law and therefore rejected. The appellants filed an application for grant of compensation on the premise that they suffered damages owing to the acts of rashness and negligence in driving on the part of the respondent number 2, the owner of the vehicle, as also the driver thereof, were thus principally liable to pay compensation to the dependents of the deceased. A contract of insurance is a contract of indemnity. In a case of accident, the primary liability under law for payment of compensation is that of the driver. The owner of the vehicle also becomes vicariously liable therefor. In a case involving a third party to the contract of insurance in terms of Section 147 of the Motor Vehicles Act 1988, providing for a compulsory insurance, the insurer becomes statutorily liable to indemnify the owner. Indisputably, the insurance company would be liable to indemnify the insured in respect of loss suffered by a third party or in respect of damages of property. In a case, therefore, where the liability is fastened upon the insurer would be bound to indemnify the insured unless the exceptions contained in Section 149 of the Act are attracted. It has not been disputed before us that in certain situations, while opening that the insurance company would not be liable to reimburse the insured, a direction upon the insurance company to pay the amount of compensation to a third party and recover the same from the owner of the vehicle is permissible. Such a direction has been issued by the High Court. The said directions are not under challenge. Keeping in view the aforementioned principle in mind, the question which arises for our consideration is as to whether it was permissible for the High Court to interfere with the quantum of compensation as awarded by the learned tribunal, although no appeal was preferred either by the owner or the driver of the vehicle, nor any appeal was preferred by the insurance company. Indisputably, in relation to a third party, the grounds upon which the insurer can deny its liability and contained in subsection 2 of section 149 of the Act. Ordinarily, and subject to just exceptions, The insurance company would have no right to question the quantum of compensation in absence of any leave having been granted in its favor in terms of Section 170 of the Act. The High Court, with respect, failed to consider this aspect of the matter. Appellants preferred appeals before it on limited grounds. Their contentions could have been rejected or accepted. The High Court, however, could not have considered the contention raised on behalf of the respondent number 3, which was not available to them in law. It was legally impermissible for the respondent number 3 to question a finding of fact arrived at by the tribunal, taking umbrage under Order 41, Rule 33 of the Code of Civil Procedure or otherwise. It is well settled that what cannot be permitted to be done directly cannot be permitted to be done indirectly.